Over the weekend, a few Yoruba Nation members, Ominira Yoruba, a small separatist group, started using guns against the Nigerian government. The gang attempted to hoist the flag of the Yoruba Nation and pull down the Nigerian flag by invading the House of Assembly and the governor's office in Ibadan, Oyo State. Despite the fact that the police and all the security personnel stopped the action, 29 accused agitators, among them a purported lecturer, were paraded.
The apprehended victims were on Wednesday arraigned on a 7-count charge bordering on treasonable felony, unlawful society, illegal possession of firearms, going armed, and of course a conduct likely to cause breach of peace before an Ibadan magistrate court for their involvement and roles in the aborted invasion of the Oyo State government secretariat on Saturday, April 13th. Consequently, their action has garnered attention and condemnation, as they have been seen not to be representing the interests of the Yoruba race. Joining us to discuss this is Mr. Fatai Owoseni, the former CP of Lagos State. Good morning, and thanks for joining us, Mr. Owoseni.
Good morning to you.
Good to have you join us. You know, I raised this question earlier in the week that we've seen agitations in different parts of the country, including in the southeast, with the emergence and, of course, very scary growth of the IPOB and the ESN that were accused of carrying out very, very dastardly acts across the southeast. What do you think might be birthing this violence in the Yoruba Nation agitators and the emergence of this level of agitation in the southwest?
I think those people that were involved will be in a better position to say what could have motivated them. But at the same time, analyzing the situation, within the Yoruba Nation movement as well, they have different groups. They've splintered. Professor, I just forgot the name now, is leading one. They said Sunday Igboho is leading one. And this one that is emerging, that seems to be spearheaded by the so-called Mrs. Onitiri Abiola.
Yeah.
Professor Akintoye, the other one.
Akintoye, yes.
So this one just came up, and of course, what I would call unnecessary courage, and of course, probably a push by only God knows, maybe like I'd mentioned in earlier interviews, hypnotize some people, get some people psyched up, and of course, also give them a makeshift belief that maybe some kind of charms will work for them, and senselessly, and I emphasize it, decided to confront a system that is in operation. Why did I call it unnecessary courage? Why did I call it senseless? If you are putting a motley number of people together who weren't even, so trained to say you want to establish another country, a Yoruba nation, and you had come to a place like Ibadan, in this seat of government, and you also believe that when you take over the place, you have taken over the whole of the Yoruba state. We're talking of 6 states. You are thinking that when you get into the secretariat, you have the control of government apparatus. That is why I call it senseless, a kind of madness. And I will keep on saying it. People that seems to have been, laced, maybe what is given to them has been laced with some cheap drugs somewhere. Because there is no other way to explain such unnecessary and senseless courage to say you can do that and go away with it, and in a place like Ibadan, where structures are strongly in place. So that's the way I can probably summarize what could have, motivated these people. And I've also likened it to where some religious people, Guyana tragedy in the US, where some fellows ask people to come and be doing all sorts of things, sell their properties, and bring the money to his church, as exchange that they already gained salvation. In Nigeria, you've had the Maryland, the Jesu tragedy, where people's wives, are being coveted and all those things. Where promises will be made to say, oh, when you do this, you also have a Boko Haram thing, where they will tell you that if you do this, you are going to Aljana. And I do mind, can easily be turned into that poverty level, joblessness, and all those things. So that is why, looking at it, it is just beyond the immediate. We also need to look at how do we get people reoriented? How do we get good role models to talk to our people? And when you're talking of Yoruba land, the Yoruba people are so sophisticated and elitist that if such a thing is going to happen, it's not just going to be that kind of senseless action that will be taken. We've seen agitations before. We've seen women who led revolts in this country.
Yeah.
The late Mama Fumilayo Ransome-Kuti, Efun Shetan in Ibadan. We've heard of the woman that led the riots in Aba and all those things. So we are not that senseless in this country.
Right.
But if people are even agitating and they want to secede, it's that kind of senseless action they will pull up.
You've talked about how there might be some element of religious indoctrination at play here, but it would seem there's also, some element of using poverty as a weapon for mass or for manipulation of the people. A lady by the name Rafiat, who was one of those apprehended, gave an account of how she was approached to do this because she was told that if she did this, her family and her life, her future will be guaranteed. So whilst I hear you concerning, us getting role models for our people, ensuring that we have role models who can mirror the future that we ought to have, or the country and the people that we ought to have, there's also a problem. Poverty is a problem. The rising cost of living is a problem. So how do we ensure that we don't see a repeat of an incident such as this, in the nearest future?
You have put it very, very right. Poverty, joblessness, and that is a challenge to all of us, especially the people at helm of affairs in this country, and some people that have the means to give people employment. There are so many Nigerians that are trying in their own way, but we need to do more, especially in the Southwest. It's not just about going to social parties and spraying money, and of course, giving pittance and sharing food that will not last for more than one day to people. We've seen situations where some people will go to schools and say, oh, how many, they get statistics of people that are out of school. They find a way of giving them accommodation. Chifemi Otedola went to university and paid, the tuition of how many students by giving a large sum of money. So we need to have more of that. We need to have, our leaders think of more ways of how to engage people. That is one. Why do we need role models? Why do we need reorientation? We also need to talk to our people, our young people especially, that there is no fast way. There is a process. You don't jump from level 1 to 10, because some entrepreneurs will tell you, I can tell you personally, I run a farm and you put people to work. When they collect their salary, the first thing they go do is to go and drink alcohol and look for drugs. You park your car. Somebody is coming to beg for money. You ask him, can you wash my car for me? He's not ready to do that. He just wants money in his pocket. And you see that when people from diasporas come, they don't know that it is sufferings over there. They think the diasporans speak dollars and pounds on the streets of UK and the United States. So our sense of entitlement, there must be a way to reorientate our people that sense of entitlement, we must also drop it. And of course, this seasonal usage of people to use them as thugs in order to get political offices, we must find a way of reorientation. We must change a whole lot of things in this country. And of course, strengthen our intelligence capacity. We must get to the grassroots. We must be able to convince our people that if you see something, say something. Convincing them in a way that you guarantee them, you give them the confidence that they are secure when they give you information.
All right, I also want to talk about the technology. Apologies. I also want to talk about the availability, the ease with which, these groups, I'm not sure who's sponsoring them now, but the ease with which they also gain access to weapons. Because they, of course, according to reports, were firing at security agents. They were arrested with weapons also. And so, isn't that a problem also in the Southeast? Like, is the security, architecture of the Southwest rather already seeing that there might be a problem in the future if certain aspects of this aren't really taken seriously? The proliferation of arms, of course, has been a problem for a long time. But if these people were able to gain access to weapons, how many more people can gain access to weapons?
You see, in this country, a whole lot of work needs to be done. Proliferation of porous borders, and of course, people that have been militants or agitators before, being given some sort of contract to secure facilities, and they use that guise to bring in weapons. Some of our politicians taking advantage of offices to bring in weapons. These are things we need to look at. It's not just limited, but you find out that the Southwest seems to be one of the regions that have, been firmly in control of this. And it's not just people on the street, our elite, our big men, the religious leaders. How do you explain that you have some pastors or some imams preaching, and you have like about 20 people following them? Some of them carrying cut-to-size double-barrel gun. Some of them carrying pump action. When even some of the law enforcement officers and some of the people that are making laws for us in the National Assembly don't even know what categories of weapons are prohibited and the ones that are not prohibited. Because in the course of engagement with some people, when you tell them pump action is a prohibited firearm, they will argue with you. They will tell you that they have licenses. And of course, they will tell you that they got the license from the police. And I used to tell them as Commissioner of Police in Lagos, you bring a pump action to me to say you want to renew the license, I will seize it because the law allows me to seize it. That some of the avenues through which they got these licenses are not genuine, they are fake. A whole lot of vendors are bringing this in, and they will say they are selling pump action with licenses. So we also need to get the security and the law enforcement institutions to do the right thing. And of course, in order to do the right thing, there must be the political will to support them, strong political will, where everybody will be treated on the same level. Because if you count the number of pump action in this country now, it is so alarming, we are not doing anything about it. Yeah. Then, fabrication of weapons, local fabrication of weapons. There is a region of this country that the expertise with which they fabricate weapons is such alarming that if you will know that we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. So the security apparatus, and of course with strong backing from the government, that is the federal system, to ensure that laws are enforced. We need to put that in place.
Yeah, but you used to be Commissioner of Police for Lagos, so I'm sure you understand, to a large extent, security architecture, not just for Lagos State, but for other parts of the Southwest. We're talking about 7, 8 people now that have been arrested. What, would you advise, in order for, us not to have a situation where there's another 100 people that are being recruited somewhere, that are also being armed? Like, I mean, what kind of security steps would you advise that governors of the Southwest or commissioners of police across the Southwest start to take immediately to ensure that we do not have these groups continue to emerge, and then we see them in larger numbers until it then becomes an actual problem?
We are all in it together. One, citizens' engagement. I've mentioned that before. If you say something, you must say something. The philosophy behind modern policing is that the people are the police and the police are the people. So you must get the people engaged. It's not just about introducing technology. Human is essential. That is human intelligence. So you must be able to give people confidence. We must solve, to an extent, the poverty problem, the joblessness problem. And of course, we must keep engaging our people, especially the young ones, including the elderly. There is an old man among the people that was arrested who said, I'm a carpenter, a bricklayer. For the past 2 years, no work to do and whatever. And some people had approached us. Some of them don't even know each other. They said we should be coming to meet in Ogbomoso, and that if we are able to take over the reign of government, there will be plenty job. It will be all good life for us. So people like that who probably go to sleep, they wake up, go to sleep without anything to eat. Some that are sufficiently qualified that don't have job. We must address that poverty problem, joblessness problem, and of course, engagement with young people with regards to value reorientation. We must drop sense of entitlement. We must know that one thing leads to the other. You don't just sit back and expect food on your table. The ones that are engaged too, that seem to be lackadaisical, they must know that you cannot just get that rich quick without putting some effort. Even if you japa, if you go to the US, if you go to the UK, if you don't do any work, you will die of hunger. So
but
the government must also look the way of alleviating all this. That is very key.
Yeah, I mean, to a large extent, there's most of the things you mentioned are citizen responsibilities, to not, of course, want to get rich too quick and involve yourself in crime. But what I'm pointing out here is that there is a role that security agencies must play with intelligence gathering, with being able to nip this thing at the bud, being able to know who might be sponsoring these people. It's the role of security agencies, and I don't know if they're currently on top of their game with regards to this, because these people had already approached the Oyo State government house before they were found.
Look, no matter the number of security personnel you have, if you leave the people behind, you will not succeed. The people must be involved. That is number one. Even the security agencies that you are talking of, how many do we have? The police that has the primacy in internal security, how many of them do you have? What is the sophistication of tools that are provided for them? And if you pull all together, and I can talk of the police because I was a policeman for 35 years, what is the motivation you have given them? When in this country, I don't know if things have changed now. As Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, I said it, and I'll continue to repeat it without fear of anything, that you have a divisional police officer like an Ikeja police division that has an area of responsibility that's so large, and what you use to fund that police division is 30,000 naira in 3 months. Hell, to do what? When you have a police system where an average constable had to struggle to feed, to buy his uniform, where you have a policeman that is posted from Jigawa to Ikorodu in Lagos, and there is no accommodation for him or anything, that sleeps inside exhibit vehicles in the police station, and the people that rule us, that have the reign of power, will come out shamelessly to say that policemen stink. How will that policeman not stink? He sleeps inside the exhibit vehicle every morning. He looks for pure water because he has no family in Ikorodu and is transferred from Jigawa. So where do you go from there? So even when we talk of state police, it is not about who controls the police, it's the tools. When you see police in America, in the UK, you see them looking big, looking well fed. It is the tools that we provide. So these are the things we must solve. It's not just about condemning the gap and the failure of security personnel. You must take care of them. You must provide the enabling environment and the tools for them to work.
Mr. Owoseni, thank you so much for your time with us, for speaking so clearly and truthfully. And we certainly would continue to speak about the welfare of the Nigerian police, because as much as we expect a lot from them, we expect that they also be given a lot in return. So thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for